All right. So, welcome to the Pink Toolkit Insider. I'm so excited to have Latoya and John, the future Allens, here. This is a special interview for me. We have a special guest in the background, 3. So if you hear her clacking around with her heels, she's getting her pageant practice on, all right? So thank you, John and Latoya, for agreeing. Oh, don't fall. For for agreeing to be here today to talk about you all's Black love story and how your Black love has just transcended and manifested into your home ownership journey, and now this beautiful home that we're sitting in right now.
Yes.
Yeah. So before we get started talking about that, introduce yourselves. Whoever wants to go first.
John Allen.
Latoya hands
Camera's right there.
Because I'm like, we're doing last names, but okay.
Okay. And how long have you all been together?
Go ahead.
So the camera make it weird. How long we been together?
We've been together for 4.5 years, so it'll be 5 in April. Well, actually, a little more than half. So in April, we'll be at 5 years.
Yes. Okay. As I said, this is definitely about your Black love. So how did you all meet?
So funny thing is, we went to high school together. Yes, we went to high school together, but we didn't really know each other. He recalls knowing me, but I don't remember him. But of course, with the Facebook world, we added each other as Facebook friends, and so we would talk to each other through Facebook about different topics. Like when DC had like the whole missing Black girls thing going on, we would talk about that and different forums that were happening in the city surrounding the Black girls missing. And then we
pause.
Yeah.
So, John, did you slide into Latoya's DMs?
She chose. I did a Facebook game.
Okay.
A Facebook game. It was asking, what was it? Oh, you said we could be just us. Okay.
I hope so.
So, I did. I threw a big fish net out there. I played a Facebook game with I was a tutor counselor. Try to make the story as short as possible. I was a tutor counselor, and one of the kids that was there that I was supervising, she had posted a game. I didn't know it was a game. She just asked, like, pick a number between 1 and whatever. So I picked it, and she said, "Oh, John, I didn't expect you to do this one, so now you got to do this." And yeah, Taurus, something freaking. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not doing this with you." It's like, it's a little Facebook game. You can post it and see what reactions you get. So I posted it, and she responded.
And you already had your eye on Latoya, though, right?
No. I had my eye on getting off my mama's couch. So yeah, I was prioritizing.
What it is.
But I did the Facebook game because it was Wi-Fi only, so it was nothing to do but Facebook when you're on the job. So I did that post, and Toya responded. I never saw her say anything on Facebook because she was working. She ain't had time to be on Facebook. Pardon me. She was working. So Toya responded, and she had to answer the question based on her zodiac sign. It was an easy one. It was like, "Are you a virgin?" She said, "Oh, that's an easy one." No. I was like, "Damn, that's quick. I didn't expect that to be over so quickly. Let's throw another one." I was like, "Oh, well, that's easy. Do the Cancer one." And it was to be honest. She said, "To be honest, I would." Something to the effect of be in the same room with you and boo boo. So okay. Conversation started. So
that was a conversation starter.
Yeah.
Okay. You bold, girl.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that. I think it's so good to see women in this day and age, just like taking control, letting them know from the jump. Like,
worst they say is no.
Hey,
this
could work.
Y'all let them choose you.
So that's why I always say to everybody, ladies, don't be afraid to shoot that shot. If you see something, you're interested in something, slide in them DMs, go ahead and send that message because you never know. He may be your fiance, future husband. baby daddy,
Right.
all of that.
Yes. Okay. So now we're fast forwarding, I guess 4.5 years later, or maybe I guess 4 years later, or maybe 3 years later, where you all now have a child, right? Whose name is Three. And you start to have this conversation about home ownership. How did that conversation come up for you all?
Yeah. Oh, you want to go?
Well, yeah, essentially, we just got tired of putting our money down the toilet. I mean, I grew up in a home, so that was my norm. You know, growing up in a home, that was my norm. So, being confined, it was a townhome, but granted, it wasn't an apartment. So, that was my norm. So, getting back to a house, that was always the goal. My grandfather was in the real estate. Most of my family, my father's side, is in the real estate. So, he always talked about the importance of not just putting your money in a hole, you don't get anything back as far as equity and ABC. So I already saw the importance, just didn't have the means or, the goal in mind. Essentially, it was just, raising my family in the same house. So to have us in the same house would be ideal. And to have it where we're building equity, doing something with the money. That was, it made sense. But yeah, Latoya was definitely she was really headstrong about it.
So really, from my point, it came from, we went to a home buying seminar that somebody was having. Right, if you're from the Maryland area, it was like that big old house you see on your way to Fort Washington, Clinton area, that says real estate. So we went to a seminar there, and we talked to a lady. And so what always discouraged me was, student loans. Like, of course, we go off to college, we get all this student loan debt, especially if you're a first time generational student, because nobody really tells you to be mindful of the money you take out, or that you could give money back that you don't use. So you find yourself in all this debt. And of course, with time, the interest and everything, it just adds up. And so I was always discouraged with the process because I have a high student loan debt from me. I have a high student loan debt from me getting my master's degree. And so, I was just always discouraged with that. And so I was always just like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be a homeowner because I have this student loan debt, and I don't think anybody is going to qualify me for anything worth buying in the area. But we went to this seminar, and they were really helpful in, teaching the basics of, from start to finish, what you have to do, how to prepare to be pre-approved, and follow through with the underwriting process. And so that really just got my gears grinding. And so after that, is when we met Rashanna and her realtor. And
now
things just
realtor.
right now my realtor. Shout out to Keith. Keith James. And so, that just kind of took off. And so we had some setbacks in the process, but we stuck with it, and we made it here. You want me to talk about the setbacks?
Yeah. Wait, before you get to the setbacks. No, okay. It's okay. Before you get to setbacks, John was explaining like his experience with home ownership. Did you have that same upbringing where like it was talked about that home ownership was important, equity and things like that, or was the real estate conference your first introduction into the benefits?
So no, I did not grow up in a home or from a family where home buying was the priority. I have some family members that have houses, and like, of course, like long distance family members that have houses, but it was never a thing that was taught. I grew up in a family that was really like nickel and diamond to survive, almost. Not even almost, like that's just what it was. Like, every dollar mattered and was important and was accounted for even before it came into the house. So and my parents didn't come from understanding home ownership and the benefits of it, and so it was never passed on to me. So this was literally as I grew up and became an adult and understood why home ownership is important, is where I really learned and decided to make that step and make it my reality.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful place, like when you talk about like partnerships, because it's like John described you as like the headstrong one, like to say, yes, I definitely want to purchase a home, right? But at the same time, he was also like the security in a way because he had that upbringing himself to be able to provide you with that confidence, you know, like to be able to say, no, I know what this is. This is important, you know, and so then together it was like a perfect, you know, like just a perfect match for that conversation. So that was just, I never heard that part of the story. So that was just interesting for me to like hear that and be able, you know, just be like, oh, okay, that's like so cool. Like, so you had the conversation and then you decide that it's now time to buy a home.
Yep.
Now, I know that you all would have gone through this process twice, right? And you were successful the second time. So let's talk about your first process and what did you learn that helped you in the second process, and maybe some advice you can give to anyone that's watching.
Yeah. So the first process, we got connected with a lender. And the realtors, actually, when I met Rashanna and our realtor, Keith James. And so we got connected with him. But of course, before we could do any work with the realtor, we had to go through the pre-approval process. And so this was before Fannie Mae, I think it is Fannie Mae passed the law where recently, I think within 2020, they passed a law where you can, 2021, they passed a law where you can use only 1% of your student loan balance in order for you to close on a home. And so before 2021, we started this process in 2019 where we have got with the lender. And so then it was in order for us to be able to purchase a home, we had to essentially go based off of our income-based payment plan. And so they would use that total amount instead of obviously like the original amount that you would be paying. And so the lender we got connected to, he seemed as though he was really helpful, really about making sure we close and always available. And then as I started working with him, you know, we got through the process of, you know, getting a pre-approval letter, going out there, finding a home, going through the inspection. We literally got to the part of closing, right? And we got to the part of closing. And when we got to closing, our lender kind of just went MIA, literally, like stop answering our phone calls, stop answering our relatives' phone calls, stop answering, his team's phone calls that work with like the paper and administrative process part. And we literally is like 2 days before our closing date. And even the sellers are contacting the lender and like, what's going on? They're getting nervous because of course they're going into another month of having to make a payment on their mortgage without closing. And so
that's after you gave them that money.
Yep. Long story short, we lost a lot of money, thousands of dollars, because, like I said, we got to the closing table, which means we already paid for inspection and earnest money deposit, and I think those are the only two things. But yeah, so the inspection, earnest money deposit, on top of we were in our apartment, so it was still, you know, paying rent where we are, and you know that whole type of thing. So it was just so much money. That went out that was wasted because our lender literally went MIA, and then he did, you know, something that was really illegal, which was, you know, he like really he ran my credit report like multiple times the week leading into my closing, which drastically cut my credit score down and really messed up my credit score. And so when Keith tried to switch me to another lender, the lender couldn't accept me because of my student loan debt, and now my credit score was like under like a 640. And so it basically diminished us being able to move forward in the closing process. So that was the first experience trying to get a first time home buyer. Yeah.
So a little more context too, just being transparent on how real it was for us. We gambled our rent money because if you're into the home buying process, you already know it's hard to save and still like maintain your current situation. So the fact that we gambled our rent money for that transition and then for it to fall through and we just didn't have our money and we can't find him. My grandfather pulled us out of the fire. We came to him and he gave us the money. It was, if it wasn't him for him, we could have very well been homeless.
Mhm.
That's how real it was. So yeah.
And how do you all as a couple like support each other through a time like that where you go from being like on this amazing high, right, to then like right a low, right? Yeah. Because it's really like I'm about to be a homeowner, and then you're like, wait, I'm about to be homeless.
Yeah. Not blaming one another.
Yeah.
Because she was the one who had the credit. She was the one who kept the ball rolling. She was so adamant about being on point with everything. And me, my money, wherever it needs to go, just to get the ball, just to get it going. Like we have the same goal. Like doesn't matter which tire on the car has more air. Like we're trying to go in the same direction. So all right, let's do this. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, for that to happen, the main thing was definitely not blaming one another. She didn't make me feel like, oh, we would have made this happen if you made more money or if your credit wasn't terrible. Like we never forgot that we were on the same team, and that it happened to us, and that to get out of that situation is going to take us. So we didn't turn on our teammate. That was the main thing.
And I was going to say, since we ever started dating, like he always been like the calm in a storm. And so with me, I'm an overthinker and I'm also like solution focused. So I'm always trying to find a solution. Like I have to find a solution right then and there. So going through this first process and then finding out like my lender is nowhere to be found. You know, the sellers are not budging and that they don't care about giving me my money back because now we have prolonged them time and now they got to put their house back on the market. And so, you know, I was just like so overwhelmed because it was literally like right here within reach and then bam, it all was just gone. And so literally like I'll never forget that night, you know, he just took me out to eat and you know, we had some drinks and we just relaxed and at the end of the day we were like, if it's meant for us, it will come out. And it's so funny, like we realized that house that we were getting ready to close on would have been small and we would have outgrown it by this time anyways. Like this was 2 years ago. Like literally we'll probably be getting ready to try to get another house because we would have outgrown it with how small it was. So it was actually a blessing in disguise. Like of course we didn't notice it right then and there, but you know, after we actually got out of our feelings and processed it, it was like, okay, yeah, this was a blessing in disguise because with that little space, we literally would have been ready to move.
So for others who might have gone through any type of like disappointment in the home buying process, what did you all have to do together to prepare yourself to now purchase this beautiful home that you all live in 2021, between 2019 and 2021?
Yeah, so of course with, you know, okay, so to back up a little. So we had the agreement because my income is more and then my credit score was more stable, that our first house would go under my name, and this will allow us to be able to, you know, have more comfortability and flexibility with being able to, you know, pay bills and all that stuff, but then also be able to build our home ownership portfolio. And then like within the next phase, you know, maybe he'll get like a property that we'll rent out. And so, you know, it's just like that's the goal in mind, is to be able to build our portfolio, to be able to get more houses and more property, and go into, you know, eventually getting our dream house together, that we will both go on. And so And doing that, because of the lender really screwed us the first go around, it was really, just doing some rehabilitation to my credit score. And so, of course, if anybody know anything about credit, it takes time. Like, time is what boosts your score, especially if you don't have any derogatory remarks, or, like, any bills that were not paid, which that wasn't the case for me. It wasn't, I did not pay a bill on time. So all I could do was just let time get to it, and let the credit pulls that he pulled drop off of it, which, of course, a good credit tip is, if like, credit inquiries usually fall off within 2 years. So literally, I just had to wait for time to get to my credit score. So doing that, in the process, making sure that we save money. Since we've been through the process, we already knew what to expect. We already knew, what the lender was looking for, how to make sure that we structured, our bank account and our savings account to be able to show that we have the money in there. We already been through the process, so I already had a lot of the paperwork already ready for the lender. So all of the paperwork that I had, essentially, it was like maybe printing off updated, of course, like pay stubs and W-2 information, but I already knew what to expect. So literally, when I called the lender this second go round, it was like, hey, I'm ready to apply, and here go all my documents. And so literally, all he had to do was get my credit score that the system, pulls online, and he already had my paperwork. And then I had my pre-approval letter. And literally, the day that evening that I applied, I was looking at houses. Like, we were already out there looking at houses. And literally, this process took a month. Like, we started October 20 something, and we closed literally November 23rd, the day before Thanksgiving. So literally, the process took a month. And if it wasn't for the sellers of this house having a bad realtor, we probably would have closed in 2 weeks, because that's just how quick the process went. With Keith is a beast. So I'll give him that credit. But then also, just because we were so ready, like, we made sure that the credit was good. We made sure that the money was in the savings. We made sure that we had all the paperwork. So literally, by me giving all that paperwork to the lender, I mean, he didn't have to ask me any questions aside from, is this the house you want? You sure? Okay, cool. I'll send an appraisal for it. And that was it.
A quick nugget to speak to, like, the transition from us being to the apartment to us being in a home now. The main thing is having a great team. Seeing Keith, you see how he operates with his team. With us, you see how we operate with our team. It wasn't for Dominique, our daughter's godmother. If it wasn't for her being willing to let us stay with her and stock our money, because, like I said, the main thing was being able to maintain where we lived and saved enough for another house. So we didn't just magically get house money. No, we had someone that was willing to allow us to go into their home and stack our money.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was the biggest blessing.
Mm-hmm. I'm saying because
So,
that was a big blessing.
Man,
Village.
Right.
Yeah.
The fact that we had Dominique and we had Angelo was the best. He made it such a breeze. Shanika, she was great too, but Angelo, look, I enjoy this. You don't like this house? Music in my ears. Let's find another one. Like, this is what I do. Like, I want y'all to find your house. Not, okay, let's get this house and get commission and keep it rolling. Like, no, we want you to be happy with your home, not just a property. So, team members, we won the same team. We had a great team member, and Keith had an outstanding partner with Angelo. So everybody just worked together.
Yes, and for those of y'all that are watching, Keith and Angelo are both realtors with Coalition Property, Keith being one of three of the founders of Coalition Properties Group. So now we're here in your beautiful home, and we're all very excited. At least I am. Okay, so you can hear it in my voice. How does this home serve you? How does your Black love grow and manifest here? I know that's a big question because I'm expecting a big answer. So feel free to take it in parts, break it down, however.
I'll go first. It's ideal. Well, we don't have to get into signs and all that, moon signs and all that, but
If you'd
principally,
like to.
okay. So I'm a Taurus sun. So our number one thing is stability. The less second guessery, the better. The more that I know what's going on, the more I can be me. I can branch out. Oh, yeah, camera. I'm used to talking to faces. Let's see
I
your
know,
face.
totally.
But no, the more that I can be grounded in a space where I can be me, that's ideal. So to be the best, to be the most ideal John, to be the most ideal spouse, especially father, that's my most important role to me. That's ideal. And it's difficult raising your kids in other people's spaces. They could be family members, friends, anyone, because it's not your space. So that was, yeah, I really cherished that, if not more so, because we initially had that space with our apartment. It was a nice apartment, but it was in our home. So to have that in our house now, it's like having the cake and eating it too. Like, man, you appreciate things way much more when you go without it. And sometimes the universe takes things away. So to make sure you appreciate and realize that it is a privilege to have this thing. So I couldn't ask for anything more. And that's just on the selfish tip as far as myself and my family. But just to have like a place where just pull up. If it's a problem, bro, we can talk. We can build here. We have this space here. This is a safe space. You don't have your ideal home situation there. All right, unplug. Come over here. We can chop it up, crack a brew or two, do what we do. Build. And it's nothing like seeing it in person, especially people seeing from what I came from to who I've grown to be and I'm still growing. It's 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 a blessing to be one. Sometimes you don't the most you do for people is to do the most for yourself, and for them to see someone that they identify themselves with and to see, oh, you did it, you can do it too. Wait, what did you do? Oh, you got a partner that you didn't have to second guess, that you were willing to get in a situation where your name isn't on any of the paperwork and you're comfortable with that, like genuinely comfortable, because vibes don't lie, and I'm just as cool, if not more. Yeah, it shows them that it's possible, because I really thought I would have to sell. But no, you can really get the partner that you want. Like, it really starts with the partner, the team. Like I say, your vibe finds your tribe. So getting you together, figuring out who you are, like, your pluses and your rooms for improvement, that's when you start to connect with people. That's the ideal time. But you just have to be willing to be vulnerable enough to find your tribe like that. So that's
Look at that mood music. Mood music. Um,
Sorry.
it's okay.
um
So go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just going to add that, to me, because I didn't grow up in a home, I always wanted to be able to, provide that to my child, and honestly to myself. And as I grew older and learned about the differences, the importance of Black ownership, and what that looked like, and how much real estate really returns in terms of value. Like, that's what really made me, like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this done, because I owe it to my child and future generations to come. Like, I didn't have it. I have to learn what it means to be a homeowner, and all of the different things that I can do, and handyman stuff and paperwork stuff and all this other stuff that we're learning as we're doing. But um I wouldn't trade this for anything. And then nothing is more pleasant than seeing, like, the fruits of your labor. Like, just thinking about going back in that time period of being nervous because you don't know what the lender is going to say, you don't know how much you're going to get approved for, you don't know what type of houses are going to be out there, and then hearing how crazy this market is, like, that was really discouraging, because houses were being sold and bought left or right, and so you like, oh my god, am I going to find a house? And so it's just one of those things where um I don't regret it, but at the same time, I'm just really glad that I have a partner who's able to be there, to support, but also help me in my moments where, once again, I'm getting like that anxiety and overwhelmingness because as much as I love surprises, I hate not knowing. And so, of course, like with home ownership, like going through that process, it could change any day, any night, and like when your realtor put in that contingency and those offers, and you just like you don't know what's going to happen, you just gotta wait on it. And so yeah, so it's still like we've been in here for about 2 months now, and I still wake up like this is really our house. This is really our house. And so I don't know if that feeling is gonna ever go away, but um still, 2 months in, we're way more settled, and I'm still just like, wow, this is really our house.
Yeah, I will say it never goes away. I just think you don't think about it as often, but there will be moments where you'll just be like, yo, I really bought this house. Like it does. It definitely does happen. And so one of the ways that you all have been supporting each other, you've been able really to support John, is through Family Jewels, which I see John is wearing some jewelry from his line. He has a necklace, a ring, and a bracelet. I don't know if people can see the bracelet. Yeah, so your home has now also become a home office. Yep. So tell the people a little bit about Family Jewels.
So, Family Jewels initially came as a hobby. Um, as I said, I'm a tourist, but you can look me in the natal chart for the specifics. But generally speaking, we're definitely into creative things. We love art. So I always love creating things. Music was my first love. Photography was my second. I painted for a while. I sketched. I but I always liked jewelry. I loved Afrocentric jewelry. So wood, things like that. I always loved it. My sister, she always loved Afrocentric things too, but she was really into earrings and beaded jewelry. So I never forget it. We were on the balcony at our apartment 2 years ago, and we were just saying how much we were into things, but the stuff we saw was either overpriced or under loved. Like you didn't feel the love in it. It just felt like a hustle to people. So like it really one thing, essentially the crystals, I wanted something that didn't feel like a hustle because I took photography on and that was a passion, but it wound up feeling like a job. And, that was another story. But it genuinely was a hobby. I didn't want to sell anything. I just had 1,000,001 crystals. And the people that I saw selling crystals, I didn't feel like it was worth what they were charging. So I just winged it. It was my sister's friend actually, Danielle, shout out to her. She does great work too. She I met with her. She was selling a crystal toy, was out of town with Dominique, the one who blessed us with being able to stack up her money. I try to keep it in time. She had made me a piece and she was so open with the information. So don't listen to people saying that we don't like to give information to one another or whatnot. Your vibe finds your tribe. I'm open with any and everything. I'm not giving you the shirt off my back, but I'll show what I know. Like, what's the purpose of knowledge if you don't share it? I had so many people impart wisdom in me. How and why would I be selfish enough to keep it for myself? That's not how energy works. You get what you give. So take with that what you will. But she was so open with the information on how to do this, that, and the third. My sister showed me how to do these bracelets. Danielle showed me different resources to get a hold of materials to do crystals. I just started doing my thing. I We went to a Waffle House, and the waitress there, she flipped, was like, "Wow, how much is that? Da 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 da. You really do that?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm just doing my thing." But Toya was the first one who really flipped and said, "Wow, you really need to sell this." Like, no, you're really doing dope work. And one thing I learned with photography is they say if the women love it, it's profitable. It's something there. They see everything. So they see things that we don't see. So just go with it. If the women are really into it, go with their vibe. It'll make sense in time. And here we are. Like the whole housing process, it was times because Toya stacked her check. She has the big check. My check is the plug holes in the boat check. All right, let's make sure we got a sandwich today. Hers is, all right, let's get this house. So we play opposition. I When I jumped off the porch with Family Jewels, I didn't have to spend my check there a whole week, an entire week. Like, yeah, people that live paycheck to paycheck, but it was a time where we were living in the red. Like a negative was the norm. Like, no, there's no just stopping at zero. Like, no, we're going past this. Shout out to Navy Federal. So to be able to hear her say, "Oh, damn, I don't have money for this," and I'm like, "Oh, it's a problem. Let's throw some money at it." That feels so good
Mm-hmm.
as a partner, but more so as a man. Like to just be in position to do for a queen, or oh, she needs some shoes. But boom, there we go. Wait, what do you want to eat? You don't feel like cooking? Okay, let's just throw some money at it. It just feels good. Like money doesn't bring happiness, but access to it, from my perspective, it doesn't bring happiness. But access to it, being able to plug holes with money, it it brings less stress.
It helps you stay afloat.
Yeah, it definitely
Yeah.
brings less stress as opposed to happiness. And not being stressed makes me happy. So,
Yes.
especially seeing her unstressed.
So people can find Family Jewels on Instagram, right?
Yeah,
At Family
definitely.
FAMLY
There we go.
Jewels with a Z,
Yep,
right?
JEWELZ.
One word, right?
Yep.
Family
Yep,
Jewels, right?
FAMLYJEWELZ.
Yes. So you can definitely check out and support the family, support the family business,
Yes.
support these new homeowners. I have 2 questions left for you all today. I know that we are moving, but this is just such a good conversation. I'm just enjoying listening to it. This is a part 1 and a part 2. As I said, we are really talking about Black love, and I think that those who have watched so far and have gotten to this part can definitely see how your love has helped you all move through this process to now building a home, right? Like a foundation, a solid foundation for your family. How has your Black love changed you since meeting each other?
We need to replay your vocal action from brunch to lunch when I was going over my
Vision board.
Okay. But for me, I know that I'm I always say when I'm talking to people about love, like you find yourself more when you find your partner. Like I think that of course being alone is great time to be able to find yourself, but there's other parts of yourself that you don't know about until you start opening up and sharing yourself with someone else. And so immediately since John and I started dating each other and being in each other's presence, you know, I've been able to tap into myself where I've been able to give myself grace more. I've been able to um, really see the beauty inside of me that goes beyond just looks and just, you know, my attributes, but really more so um, what what is it that I bring to the table, and even in my flaws, whatever flaws I have, you know, still seeing the beauty in that. I've been able to really like boost my self-esteem that goes way above just looks and physical abilities. It's just like, you know, having a partner that loves on you 24/7 throughout the day, you know, that speaks life into you. I think it just has you moving really different, and it will make you just literally feel like you're floating on air 24/7. And so um just experiencing a healthy Black love, it just makes you, you know, want to go hard for Black people, what we represent. And you know, really it almost make you want to become like an evangelist for love and just want to go spread the gospel um about love, because you know, I just really hope that every woman is able to experience this, and that every woman is able to experience what it feels like, and for the world to see that like Black love is healthy, is safe, is secure, And it's trusting. Black love get depicted in different ways, and a lot of people think that suffrage has to come before you can get the rewards. And so, I'm just happy that we were able to experience a black love where none of that had to take place, where we were able to love each other unconditionally without any of the suffrage, without any of the, oh, let's play games or let's go based off of stereotypes. It was like, no, I'm going to love you. I'm going to love all of you, and I'm going to love all of you all the time. So that, yeah, that's how it made me grow. I passed the mic.
So I was single for a while, and I've always liked me, and I've had enough time to be with myself. So I've had those uncomfortable times where you have those raw but real conversations with yourself, those really introspective moments where you have that opportunity to grow. So taking that time to figure out who I was really weeded out all the things I wasn't and people that come with those realizations. So you made complete sense. My thing is vibes don't lie. And whatever doesn't make sense in time will. And I got this from experience. Because of course, ideally you want to know the answer to things, but just keep on living. When in doubt, vibe it out. The vibe felt real from the gate. I didn't lie to myself on what I did see. What I did see, I moved in that awareness because we feel like we people let us down, but we just have them up too high. And a lot of times they show us where they are level wise. We just don't want to deal with that real because the fantasy of, well, I could make this person this, or they could be. I mean, a square could be a circle, but it's not rolling downhill. So it is what it is. Moving with that awareness saved a lot of time and being vulnerable enough to be transparent with what was genuinely on my mind, with where I was and how I viewed myself, where I wanted to go, my insecurities, my proclivities, my things that I leaned towards, the times where I wasn't the best person, just being transparent with that, like letting you know, like, no, this is me. Because I was never really into second guessing. I I'm really into measuring twice and cutting once. But if you give me the exact measurements from the gate, like straight from the gate, it's perfect with me. So you get what you give. So I felt I want the core value that I really prioritize. I wanted somebody to love me for me. A lot of people don't have that because they're not comfortable enough with themselves to lead with themselves. They'll lead with their wallet, they'll lead with their ass, they'll lead with the typical stuff, but get surprised when people approach them in that regard. Like, oh, no, you're not just an ass. This is what you advertise. Wave the ass flag, or no, not just money. Like, what do you mean you can't buy this? This is what you led with. So Drake had the realest line when he said, how do you know who to choose when everyone will come with you? The ideal time to find out who has your back is when you're not in a position to be there for them in certain regards. There's no guessing there of what they're there for. Granted, you'll see people that see the potential in you that will see that there, but a lot of people, more times than not, are short sighted. And if you can't give it right back to them, if they can't throw that fish hook of a favor out and reel it right back in, they'll leave you drowning in the water. So, no, I don't know what I did, but it was real. But Black love, it makes sense. If you're comfortable enough to be yourself and lead with yourself and give them an opportunity to love you, you have nothing to second guess. And who would want anything but that in a relationship?
Yeah. So the last question that I have, and I ask it to everyone, as you're talking about not second guessing, is really, I guess, about dreaming. What is next for the future Allens?
So, of course, in 4 or 5 months, will be married. 3 keeps telling me that I have a baby in my stomach.
You're
So,
giving me an exclusive.
Huh?
I said you about to give us an exclusive.
I didn't see one last time I was down there.
I have not been able to confirm this, but I feel like, you know, it's talk of what's to come in the near future. So, dream wise, definitely, you know, fixing up our home to the decorations and designs that we want it to be. Um, Obviously, baby girl, she'll be going into school this year, so we'll have that change, putting her into school, um, but also, you know, expanding our family soon, sooner than later. 3 will tell you. So, you know, so it's just preparing for all those things, and really just constantly growing in our relationship, growing closer to each other, and just being there for one another. And really, trips. You know, one thing that we could agree on is that we really want to be the first who is able to allow 3 to explore what the world has to offer. And so that is on our list to connect with United Family, planning organization to, you know, plan some trips upcoming in the next couple years, and hopefully do like a yearly thing where we're just able to go out and explore a different area that we just never been before, and just expose her to that side of things. So
Well, with that, thank you, John and Latoya.
Thank you.
For sharing your home ownership story through your radical, amazing, beautiful, sustaining Black love. Like, that is just so beautiful. Yeah, thank you all for sharing the space and time with me, and also everyone that's watching you all. And we'll be watching you all. As you all see, make sure that you hit that like button, give us that thumbs up, subscribe, follow us at the.pink toolkit on Instagram. And of course, yeah, that's really where all you can find us, because we're only on Instagram. So yes, and YouTube, clearly, yes. So please hit like, subscribe, and share with anyone that this may have touched or will touch. Thank you.
Right on.
Yep. Bye.
Peace.
Peace. You see the button?